I've never had bacon. I'm that kind of Jew. I've never tried bacon. I've tried cocaine, but I've never tried bacon.
Discussions about humor are rarely funny. E.B. White famously said, "Analyzing humor is like dissecting a frog. Few people are interested, and the frog dies." He's right, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't discuss humor. Laughter is one of the most visceral reactions in the human experience. What makes us laugh, what brings us joy, can help us understand what makes us human.
I'll hold you any closer, I'll be in back of you.
But can laughter help shed light on Jewish identity? Most people are familiar with an association between humor and Jews. We had the Borscht Belt comics, now made famous on Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and it's no secret that Jewish writers and performers have played prominent roles throughout the history of comedy.
Wait, I wanted to talk to you about Dr. Watley. I have a suspicion that he's converted to Judaism purely for the jokes.
And this offends you as a Jewish person?
No, it offends me as a comedian.
There are certainly Jews in comedy, but is there such a thing as Jewish comedy? In other words, is Judaism and comedy more than a punchline? The Bible isn't a history book, but it does contain some history. The Bible isn't a joke book, but it does contain a few jokes.
The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 10 commandments.
For example, there's a moment when the Jewish people are leaving Egypt after having spent over 2 centuries enslaved. They've finally escaped, but Pharaoh and the Egyptian army are chasing after them. As the army is bearing down on them, they find themselves between their enslavers and the Red Sea. Death seems certain, which is when the Jewish people cry out to Moshe, "Were there no graves in Egypt?" It's dark humor, but as Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch points out, it is the biblical source of Jewish humor. It's the Bible's first joke, and it sheds light on why comedy is so essential to our human condition. There are several theories that explain what makes something funny. One is known as the incongruity theory, which suggests that humor arises from the dissonance between expectations and reality. It's not funny to see a homeless person struggling, but it is hard not to laugh when a well-dressed business person slips on a banana peel. In the words of the great 19th century philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, the cause of laughter in every case is simply the sudden perception of the incongruity between a concept and the real objects which have been thought through it in some relation. And laughter itself is just the expression of this incongruity. Laughter emerges when we think a narrative will unfold sequentially and then suddenly it doesn't. A, B, C, D, Z. In some ways, this gets to the heart of human aspirations. We all aspire and yearn for things in our life that seem out of reach. The recognition of that absurdity can evoke laughter. When we're certain life will unfold with the direction and speed of our aspirations, but suddenly it all falls apart, some cry from the disappointment, while others learn to laugh from the incongruity. That's why laughter has played such an important role in helping others navigate through the darkest and most upsetting situations in life. Renowned psychiatrist Viktor Frankl wrote a book about his experiences during the Holocaust called Man's Search for Meaning. He explores how human beings are able to construct meaning and purpose in their lives even in the darkest circumstances. His book is a powerful rumination on one of the most serious elements of the human condition, and the power of humor. He writes,
"It is well known that humor, more than anything else in the human makeup, can afford an aloofness and an ability to rise above any situation, even if only for a few seconds. The attempt to develop a sense of humor and to see things in a humorous light is some kind of a trick learned while mastering the art of living."
The Jewish people are an aspiring people, and along with aspirations come disappointments. Whether we long for redemption, freedom from persecution, or safe haven from an Egyptian army, humor has been a tool with which we have been able to grasp our aspirations and disappointments simultaneously. It's how, as a people, we have mastered the art of living. There's a documentary on the great comedian Gary Shandling, produced by Judd Apatow for HBO. Apatow, who worked with Shandling on The Larry Sanders Show, went through Gary's journal and reconstructed his life. There is a remarkable line in Gary's journal he shared with Stephen Colbert.
He says, maybe your comedy is a natural gift to be given to others with joy to help them through this impossible life, and you sharing it with no desire of getting anything.
Wow. That's very generous.
Comedy can be hacky. It can be creative. It can be slapstick or gross. But comedy, more than anything else, is a gift of the human condition and helps us navigate this impossible life and master the art of living.
It's better to lose your skull cap than your skull. The Inquisition, what a show. The Inquisition, here we go. We know you're wishing that we'd go away, but the Inquisition